off a win against Derby Dames from Alliston.
That's correct. Up in the Alliston area. I'm Ross Vegas.
And I'm Monochrome.
And we're here once again back here at Ted Reeve Arena. It's we're just getting a little bit later than started with this game. We've had a few problems over in the bubble, so we're trying to get everything sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
In your programs, this should be game 21 if you're looking at home, but unfortunately we don't have a whole bunch of information on the timing of things as we go along, but we'll keep you informed as we do know.
Mm-hmm. Now, we did have game 22 already happened. That was the game against South Simcoe Roller Rebels and Fox Force 5. South Simcoe did pull away with that game, so they are going into the quarterfinals. We're not quite sure, again, what time that will start, but next up will be the D-VAS and the Gravediggers, and they also have an opportunity to go into that quarterfinal playoff that will happen here in Ted Reeve Arena.
Now, just to set this game up for about 2 seconds here, the D-VAS have had a little bit of time to prepare for this game. It's just the way the scheduling has worked out, so they've had the track to warm up. Gravediggers just came over from the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
They just completed their game, so we'll see what happens in this one.
That said, the D-VAS have also had a lot of opportunity to cool down and get their brain out of the game, whereas the Gravediggers did just come off about this time between games is no more than a half time. We do have shorter bouts, so it could be that they have the track advantage because they have that derby already coursing through their veins.
Yeah. Your blood's already going at this point. It's just a different color that's on the track with you.
And speaking of colors, the D-VAS, which are normally red and black, they're wearing the red jerseys, and the Gravediggers are staying in black for this bout. What do you say? These teams need some introductions?
I don't. Yeah, you want to run off the roster?
Sure. Let's see who's out there. So skating for the D-VAS, we have Bloc Québécois, Holly Rocket, Gigawatts, the Anagarde, El Capoon, Jammerhead Shark, God Jam, Juggernaut J, Jenny Spector, Jonah Kill, Fight of the Concords, Holly Mackinac, Vag Lightning, Kimikaze, Miss Demeanor Queener, and Gorsuch.
Up for the Gravediggers, we've got Miss Universe, Tara F&R Head Off, Miss Ashley, Fisted Shout, Spartacus, Riff Raff and Roll, Chronic Carnage, Brief 52 Bomber, Provokinator, Beat Anya, Sheetra, Mosh Pit Mandy, Iggy Popper, and the Blockness Monster.
Now, it is worth noting that Iggy Popper has just graduated as a senior skater. She was skating with the Junior Roller Derby League. I'm not sure, probably in her hometown there. And so she's just now passed her minimums as a senior skater and is skating with the big girls for the first time this tournament.
It's amazing to see how much roller derby has evolved with the junior divisions coming into Canada, which is only within the last couple of years, but already skaters are graduating, coming into this level already with the skill set with them, and it shows out there on the track.
Absolutely. And we've said it earlier in tonight's boutcast that, again, in Toronto, but also Canada-wide, juniors have only really been around for a couple years. So, these are skaters that maybe started when they were 16 or 17, and it's pretty amazing to have even just that couple years experience behind them entering into fresh meet. But it really speaks to what's coming forward, and that's going to just keep happening. And this is really the first time this season that we've seen those juniors graduating up. So
to me, it's still amazing being around this long enough. 5 years ago, you wouldn't even think of seeing a junior skater on skates, let alone where the level of competition is at now, even at the fresh meet level.
Mm-hmm.
It's throughout the entire day, I'm consistently impressed on just the basic strategies being utilized so well with the 4 walls, 3 walls, rotating around with even waterfalls and
transitions didn't happen 8 years ago.
No,
the kind of derby that I skated in 2006 and 2007 is just miles away from where these fresh meet were. And back then, we wouldn't even dream of having a bout until we'd been skating for an entire year. Whereas these people have just passed their minimums, and they're skating their first tournament, which is a totally different beast, beyond a bout. And they're skating even a week after they've passed minimums, which I've heard a couple skaters have.
it's amazing to me even seeing a lot of backwards blocking with so far in this tournament, not from a whole bunch of skaters, but the fact that it's even being attempted at this level just shows how well the training of all of these leagues have gone to produce everything. Like it's just mind-boggling to someone who's been around long enough, much like you, much like me.
Yep, for sure.
Well, we're still waiting to get this game started. I believe they're just trying to work out benches. It's again, since the Gravediggers have just come over to this side, to this arena, they're just trying to hammer out the last little things. I believe they're having a little problems with the roster for some reason. I believe they're trying to switch a couple of players in there, and I'm not 100% sure who's on the roster. So we don't get a look from where we're sitting, unfortunately. But pretty soon, the head referee Darko there will all figure it out.
It looks like the NSOs are just clarifying for the penalty board. Just making sure that they have the right derby numbers and that everything lines up.
I mean, every once in a while, a number will sneak in there that you don't see who's on the track, who may be not on the board, and so you've got to sort that issue out right now so the game runs a little smoother. If you've ever volunteered to be an NSO, you can know that that could be a small problem, unfortunately. And once again, we'd like to thank all of our volunteers, from our referee staff to our NSO staff to anyone who's out here volunteering, helping out, putting this production on. One of these events takes so many people to make it run smoothly. And now we're actually starting the game.
Both teams eager to get on this line. And it looks like we've got a bit of a conga line. Usually you would see a little bit more structure to the line, but it looks like the D-VAS have to concede, taking the front.
It looks like that conga line is in short order turned into 2 lines of 4 here.
Oh, and a nice push there by the Gravediggers. They did start off a little fresher. And that, I think it's Clinic Craze, is the lead jammer for the Gravediggers. Number 11 from the D-VAS, Holly Rocket, not far behind. Oh, and a nice baseball slide. She does
like
pick up 4 points.
4 in the door, but it looks like the D-VAS snuck in and stole 2 right at the end there.
Yep, Holly Rocket did sneak in a few. Oh, and it looks like Tucanale is taking issue with getting 4 points with that jammer taking a knee.
It was questionable whether or not she had passed while still upright or sliding across. Unfortunately, sliding doesn't get you the points, but there, she still got the 4.
It's not how you end the jam, it's how you actually complete before the fourth whistle.
True enough.
Both jammers now pushing through. Unfortunately, because of our vantage point, it's really difficult for us to see who's jamming until they cross into 2, but that's Fist and Shout, number 15. And that's Jammer Head Shark jamming for the D-VAS. Fist and Shout hitting the pack.
She's got about half a track to work with.
And it looks like she's just really fighting with her own players, making some space. She has to call it off just before Jammerhead hits the pack and picks up points. Neither team picks up any points on that pass.
That's a tough one to do as a jammer. You get blocked in there, you look back, you see the opposing team's jammer, and you got to make your choice right there, whether to call it or go through.
Yep.
That leaves us Gravediggers 4, D-VAS 2 with just over 18 minutes left to play.
D-VAS almost seeming to give the Gravediggers jammer a little bit of a hole to work with, but they like closed that up pretty tight. I think that was a little bit of a false hope there for Iggy Popper. And that gives the D-VAS jammer enough time to advance.
Is that Annie Guard out there?
I believe it is. Sure is. And Iggy Popper is out of the pack. Annie Garter coming through for points. She picks up 4. We have a lead change. That means if you've got a Mill Street Brewery beer in your hand, you got to take a drink.
Tap it up.
If you have any other drink in your hand, you got to take a drink.
It is one of those roller derby traditions I personally enjoy when I watch at home.
It's after 5 somewhere, even here. Both teams lining up. Both teams playing quite clean. We've got 5-on-5 action here. That's Holly Rocket jamming for the D-VAS, just pushing her way through. She has 1 to beat. Gets a little bit of a push by Jonah Kill. And it looks like that's Connie Craze that's being dropped to the back behind Block Kwa. Giving Holly Rocket a little bit of an advantage. She has lapped the jammer now.
Chronic Carnage is having a big trouble with that D-VAS back wall. It's just every time just getting shoved to the outside.
It looks like there is a forearm being called out. I'm not sure which player got the penalty there.
Oh, and I think this is going to be a low block. Yep, it's going to be a power jam, D-VAS. Chronic Carnage fell down, low blocked another blocker, and she's going to the box for 30 seconds.
Holly Rocket avoiding a nice pileup, taking that inside line unscathed, and she picks up another 5 points.
Well, this is going to be a big advantage to the D-VAS. Their power jam offense has been pretty good so far in this tournament.
Yep. And Gravediggers just making a wall at the back, but not strong enough to stop Holly Rocket. D-VAS doing a great job of just sitting on that and letting it happen and break up. Holly Rocket getting through, scoring 5 points. It's like Gravediggers almost attempting to goat, which that's really not going to help them here.
No, it's tough to goat in this particular situation right now. They're just got to need to maintain the pace of the pack at the back.
And saving their points. I think positioning at the back is a tricky move when you've got a jammer on a power jam.
It's tricky at the top levels, let alone here at this level.
For sure. Now they are keeping it tight there, and they did have their jammer go through unscathed. She did pick up 4 points.
Chronic Carnage out of the box, picks of that 4 up pretty. That's the thing. When you come out of the box, you're kind of unknown until you get to the pack. Sometimes you can just find that right line and sneak through without even being seen.
Yeah, I think that pack was really focused on Holly Rocket on both sides, and that really helped the Gravediggers pick up those 4 points on her second pass.
It's still a large advantage for the D-VAS, though. D-VAS 29, Gravediggers 8, with just under 15 minutes to play.
Gravediggers trying to make a strong wall at the front there. And that is Jammerhead Shark. And she did re-enter legally.
But Fisted Shout took the lead jammer. That's the one that is the main. She's got about a third of a track advantage here. She'll have a little time to work.
Yeah. Oh, and she dives through. Had one to beat, calls it off. She actually only picked up 1 point.
I think she touched the inside of the track when she called it off and kept it there, so she didn't re-enter play. So you only got your 1 from it. It was still a great attack, though.
Absolutely. And 1 point is still better than no points. We've seen it happen throughout this tournament. 1 and 3 points can be the difference between advancing on and not. So,
with 20-minute games, anything can happen very quickly.
And that's Iggy Poppers breaking out of the pack first for the Gravediggers. Not far behind her is Anagard. Iggy Popper trying to get her team to keep moving. She jumps the apex, calls it. Did she call it on her feet and pick up the points?
I don't know. We're still waiting for those jam refs to put up their points.
That was 0 for the D-VAS. Oh, and 4 points for the Gravediggers. So she was successful in that jump.
Yeah, it was a really aggressive line to jump the apex at that point with the pack spread out as much as they were, but it seems to have paid off in that situation.
And that's what we're talking about with juniors advancing up. That level of gameplay is showing.
D-VAS 29, Gravediggers 13, just under 13 to play. Whistle goes, and it's up outside line for the D-VAS. Jammer there, Holly Rocket getting lead jammer.
That's Chronic Carnage stuck at the back behind a wall of D-VAS as Holly Rocket is coming around for points.
Holly Rocket starting from the outside line, finds the hole, goes right through unscathed, calls it off. They call it 5 points. At this level right now, you're still seeing a lot of outside moves from jammers that don't seem to be picked up as quickly as we see in other games. But the thing with it is eventually you'll start to learn to move to the middle to try to work through Buster Wells. I've seen that a whole bunch this tournament because with the outside, it's just a long way to skate to get around there.
Yep.
It's okay.
And unless you've got a wide open hole and you know that your players have got your back, it's so risky to take that out.
But a lot of these junior players haven't had that hit, haven't seen that risk-reward situation just yet.
Yeah.
So there's some benefits to being fearless.
Yeah. And speaking of fearless on the outside line, that was Fist and Shout taking the chance, and it was well worth it. Gets past Block Quebecois, and she picks up 4 points.
Oh.
Jammerhead Shark.
And that's going to be a penalty.
That's a back block.
Yep.
Absolutely. Fist and Shout did call it off just as that was happening. So the D-VAS are going to start with no jammer.
You still have to the end of the fourth whistles to get points, but in this case, also penalties.
Mm-hmm.
That back block engaged to the back, caused the blocker to fall down. That's going to get you that back block.
Yep.
D-VAS 34, Gravediggers 17 with just under 11 to play.
It's Iggy Poppers out on the line for the Gravediggers. She thinks she's got that inside line, and she does. And Badge Lightning takes her out.
Oh, and she's going to get
that's
called.
A forearm. She doesn't buy it, but she's still got to serve it.
She'll shake her head at that one. She thought it was clean, and it looked pretty good, but here we go. Iggy Popper attacking the back.
D-VAS trying to form a front wall. It does get broken up. Iggy Poppers is through again.
This is what the Gravediggers need to tighten up this scoreline.
And she calls it once again. They're going to start with a power jam. Jammerhead Shark is standing in the penalty box, but not yet released. So they're going to take this tiny advantage here.
Now, what do you think personally right now with the new rules and being 30-second penalties? Do you prefer to have the power start in this situation, or do you extend your power jam? Which one do you think is better in general?
I think it depends on your relative position on the track. I think in this case, she had already made her pass. She'd picked up her points. You know, it really did benefit her with just 10 seconds left in that jam to really start. And here you've got that power jam situation already in your hands.
Yep.
Just as Jammerhead is coming in, and she's hitting this wall of black blockers. So here, again, you're seeing that advantage right now.
Tear her head off, being an excellent blocker, throwing it the back, reeling it back. And
Jammerhead once again trying to take that outside, getting hit out. Just getting quite frustrated with this.
Gravediggers are taking advantage of this outside line. And look at that, wheeling it all the way back through the apex. And we're going to call that one a jam.
Yep. Now that player that did draw her all the way back, that's 1111. Where is her name? Tara Effenhead. She ended up in the penalty box for engaging out of play.
Now we've got a tighter scoreline. D-VAS 34, Gravediggers 29, only a 5-point deficit with just under 9 to play. It's tightening up really quick. As most of these games do, there's a point where it's a power jam away from being one side or the other.
And especially with these short games, those power jams have a much larger impact. Not enough time to really recover from power jams.
Oh, another lead for the Gravediggers.
That's Iggy Popper jamming for the Gravediggers, and Annegard, who's jamming for the D-VAS. Iggy Popper just slides through once again, calls it as she's taking a knee. She picks up all 4 points.
And that's going to tighten it up even more to a 1-point game.
Just 8 minutes left in this game.
This tournament's been nothing but excitement so far. Every game has been very close.
And they're just getting closer and closer. Have you found that as we're getting closer to the end, obviously you're going to chip away those players that, you know, maybe aren't quite at the same level, and they just get tighter and tighter and closer and closer. A little bit of an aggressive jam here for the D-VAS. D-VAS having a nice strong wall against Fist and Shout, making it easy for Holly Rocket to get lead jammer. Just a quarter track behind, though. Fist and Shout is gaining on her.
It's going to be interesting to see what she does at this spot. If she's going to just go. Oh, and there was an excellent block.
Well timed on the D-VAS.
Unfortunately, no points.
No points.
Didn't time it up just right to get that point. The bench is might be wanting to argue this one, it looks like. There's a timeout being called.
Yep. That's Tucanale. That's the bench manager for the D-VAS. Really going to question whether points were scored on that one or not.
Already in there, it looks like. Well, I don't know if this is official review or not. It appears signaling right now it is a timeout for the D-VAS. Maybe he just wants the referees to think about it a little bit more in the last 7 minutes of this game. Yeah. Well, while we're here, let's thank a few of our sponsors during this timeout.
I'd love to.
We've got Mill Street Brewery sponsoring our Jammer line. Mill Street Brewery has been the sponsor of this tournament for a number of years now, and also of GTAR in general as the league.
Mighty Tasty Beer sponsor to have. We also have an amazing sponsor who I guess could be classified as tasty. Monster Muffin is the tournament sponsor. She is offering a hefty prize to the winner of this tournament to be used for uniforms, hot shorts, anything that your little heart desires.
$500 worth of apparel, that can go a long way for any team.
Absolutely.
Yep, it seems the timeout's over. We're starting it up back left with 7 minutes left in the game with 1 point lead D-VAS.
Looks like that's Anagard jamming for the D-VAS. And I can't quite see the jammer here for the Gravediggers, but she's out pretty quick, so it's not going to be long. That is Chronic Carnage.
She picks up lead, and she's got the whole world to work as D-VAS jammer's getting trapped right in the back of the pack. Oh, what is going on here?
Anagard looks like...
It looks like we're going to have a power jam. It looks like a cut.
Yep, she did get a cut major.
Cutting the track at that point, it's a tough pill to swallow.
So it looks like the other jammer was also awarded a penalty, so she's going to be first released out of the box. But luckily for Anagard, she only has to serve the amount of time that Chronic Carnage did.
Already out.
So she's already in play. Both jammers kind of where they were before all those penalties were started. But what this does mean is that there will be no lead jammer for this game. This jam is going to go the full 2 minutes. Although that said, 1 minute is already gone.
It's going to be a race here at this point just to keep going through because you know you have to work the entire 50 minutes. It's a tiring part of your jam when you know you can't stop it.
Yep. Anagard unfortunately not able to take advantage of that howl on the inside, but she takes it on the out.
That was a beautiful avoidance right there by Anagard.
Chronic Carnage now approaching a big wall of D-VAS. There is no pack called, so one of these teams has to either drop back or move forward.
I mean, that was a wonderful blocking-wise from the Gravediggers. They slowed the pack down. They broke the pack. Yes, they're going to take the penalty, but guess what? Their jammer got through.
Yep, and Juggernaut J is actually going to serve it along with Goresnatch. And who else we have going in the penalty box? Provocaner?
Number 616, Provocator. It was a conga line into the penalty box.
Absolutely.
Oh, and it looks like, oh no. Gravediggers are taking another penalty for cutting the track.
So this is going to start as a power jam for the D-VAS. Full 30 seconds being served by Chronic Carnage. Gravediggers with 41 points. The D-VAS now at 47. D-VAS, of course, wearing red, Gravediggers in black. We have 4 minutes, 40 seconds left on this game.
This could be the crucial point of this game for the D-VAS. And, of course,
there's an official timeout.
Just when we're about to start that, unfortunately, you know what? I can see there's a lot of people in the penalty box. They probably just want to get everything all sorted out.
Absolutely.
I mean, within these short games, there's so many points that go up on the board. You just want to make sure everything's right before you start it up. But it looks like right now that we've got NSO, man, I'm a door in the middle there talking to the officials. It must just be a matter of some housekeeping, a little bit of accounting errors, but they'll get it all sorted out quickly. It's a lot easier to take a 30 seconds right there and then to have that explode after the game or a minute. It's much better at this point.
Once the game's over, the game's over.
Exactly.
So you got to clean it up now. The other thing, too, is because we're running with short jams, there are only 4 penalties allowed before you foul out of the bout. So I think it's really crucial, especially with these short games, to make sure that you have all those penalties accounted for. And if anyone's really close or has fouled out in the process, then you got to switch those out fast.
Yes, 100%.
Gravediggers making it hard for Holly Rocket here to re-enter. She just breaks through the center.
D-VAS are picking up out-of-play penalties for not reforming. And there's going to be a few here. Oh, no, we are running short of blockers out here. It is a mess where the pack is.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. I know it's somewhere around turn 3, but Holly Rocket doesn't care. She just picks up 5 points.
And we've
a lot easier for the Jammers to not have blockers on the track.
Yes. Well, when there's no blockers on the track, you just keep skating, and eventually someone's going to put up a hand for points.
Chronic Carnage now coming around with, I believe that was our first pass.
Pack's looking like it's starting to reform somewhere over in turn 3. But, well,
and Holly Rocket calls it off.
Let's see if we could. There was no more points up there, so the score stands as it is. 57 for the D-VAS, 41 for the Gravediggers. We've got a 16-point differential with just over 3 minutes to play. I mean, this is still, this isn't insurmountable. A power jam the other way.
Absolutely.
This game could change fortunes right quickly.
Yep. That said, the Gravediggers are playing 2 blockers short. It looks like they just determined that just as gameplay was starting. So that's Iggy Poppers with the star for the Gravediggers up against Vag Lightning. Anna Guard jamming for the D-VAS. And it looks like that's Jammerhead Shark took that one last blow to release Anna Guard. She picks up lead and calls it before Iggy Popper can score any points.
They both popped out there right at the same time. It was a tough call, and it looks like we're going to have an official review coming from the Gravediggers, actually.
Okay.
This is an odd spot to be having an official review, just because there didn't seem to be a whole bunch of action and change within this particular lineup, because there was no jammer penalty that happened during the jam, and there was no points that were scored during the jam. I'm not 100% sure what would be challenged at this point.
Right.
But it seems to be pretty vocal in there so far. Once again, our ref and a doorbell here, working as our jam timer for this crew, doing the old-fashioned Las Vegas maneuver.
That's your move, isn't it?
A long time ago. I'm sure people at home would remember that at some point. I will never live it down, no matter which way.
You're part of Derby history.
There's a little bit of lore that travels with me every once in a while. But it's also fun to be on this side of the microphone this time.
Isn't it just?
I enjoy this.
I almost prefer this than skating. Do I? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's been a year. I barely remember skating.
People have said to me, it's like, why aren't you officiating? I'm like, well, I kind of enjoy this too.
I like not being yelled at. How's that?
I'm not going to complain with that. Well, starting back up here after the timeout, it doesn't look like anything's changed on the board, so we're going to just assume that one was left as is. And
just wanted to chat. And it's also fair to note that I'm sure a lot of these bench managers are also just as fresh as the skaters. So sometimes you do take those official reviews and timeouts when maybe you don't really need it for a strategic move.
No, but the strategic move in that case is to kill as much time as you can so you can get your jammers fresh and get her back out there.
Truth. Holly Rocket looking pretty fresh out there. Just gets past the Gravediggers, all 4 of them. She does pick up all the points.
No.
And she does call it off before the Gravediggers had any opportunity to score.
The Gravediggers have had a fair number of opportunities this game to put on points, but right now they're 20 points behind. D-VAS 61, Gravediggers 41 with a minute 45 left to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this could be the last jam. We might have one more, but as soon as we get excited about it. Someone else is coming out here to, all right, let's see.
It's an official timeout.
It's just an official time. I think our head rep, Darko, was just looking to have a small conversation with the coaches. He's rolled over. Everyone's still on the track, so I can't see this one taking too long.
Yeah.
It also gives the referees and everyone else a little bit of a break so they can grab a drink of water during this situation. But
we still have a lot of derby to play tonight, so
we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah, we are.
But I've enjoyed the experience so far, and I look forward to the next couple games.
Mm-hmm.
And another Mill Street Brewery.
Yeah, so long as the beers keep flowing,
We'll
we're
keep
all
talking.
right. Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like they're trying to sort out right now where the there was a penalty that had happened. They're pulling someone from the box. I can't see who it is from here, but it looks like they're just straightening out the amount of times people that are supposed to be in the box at this point.
Right.
And it looks like someone's going back, and she is going to serve, let's see, as jammer or as blocker. It appears as blocker. So they're going to have 2 blockers on the track to start for the Gravediggers. And as we're sitting here, we've got 2 teams warming up right behind us.
Yep.
We got our ladies paid for Royal City, and who do we got behind me?
That is LaBouche's.
That should be an interesting match coming up here on our next game.
Mixed team from Quebec versus Guelph. Still working on this official review. Looks like Jammerhead Shark is jamming for the D-VAS, and I believe that's Iggy Poppers lining up for the Gravediggers.
They've once again pulled her out of the box, and I don't know if she is fouled out or, it's an odd situation. It seems to have gone back and forth, and they're discussing it over there. Unfortunately, we don't have a microphone into that meeting because that would be really great. But we get the explanation. But it looks, no, they're replacing her in the. Know what it is she has fouled out.
Okay.
At this point. That we could it's either a foul out or expulsion. I believe it's a foul out at this point. Just they were checking the accounting.
Yes.
And now we've got it all sorted out.
Yep. So that was Chronic Carnage being fouled out. So there is another blocker sitting in her place in the penalty box. Gravediggers still with only 2 blockers on the track. Both jammers on. Full complement of D-VAS.
And outside line, and it's a tight race going out to the front here.
And that's that is Jammerhead Shark. That is lead jammer, and she calls it. So that Iggy Popper cannot actually get through.
Jammerhead Shark took the outside open lane that her blockers gave her, but on the inside, Iggy Popper fought through the inside, and they both met up at the apex. However, in this case, no points, but 30 seconds more off the clock.
Yep.
Just a reminder once again, D-VAS 61, Gravediggers 41, 1 minute left to play on the game clock. And as we all know, this game won't conclude until the natural end of one of these jams.
Both jammers looking pretty scrappy. I can see that's Anagard stuck at the back. Oh, huge hit by Vag Lightning.
Right into your
that
TV.
Was fist and shout. She does it again.
She is sitting there just throwing shoulders. And again.
Fist and shout cannot get off of Vag Lightning's shoulders here. She finally breaks away from her and is hit with another diva. Anagard comes through, picks up 5 points in the meantime. D-VAS just swarming this jammer. Soon a no pack will be called, and Fist and Shout is out of the pack.
And
D-VAS now have 4 blockers to pick up points from, and she does. Anagard calls it off just before Fist and Shout can enter.
And time has expired.
So that is the bout. We're just waiting on the official final here.
There were some penalties at the end of the play that they're just trying to clean up right now, but it looks like an unofficial final. D-VAS 70, Gravediggers 41. I mean, it seemed to be a very consistent performance from the D-VAS once again.
Yes.
I mean, it shows in the training so far that, I mean, they had a little struggles in their first game today. Just kind of, it looks like just getting organized, but as soon as they got organized, it's been a powerhouse so far.
Absolutely. And definitely worth keeping in mind that Northumberland is a very new league. So even though they've got some sisters in Peterborough and throughout that region that's helping them through, Toronto Roller Derby has been around for 8 years, and all of those skaters from CN Power and the Bay Street Bruisers and all of those teams are helping these divas excel and move up to the home team. So so you really see that league experience coming through in the fresh meat programs as well.
Very true. Well, that's our official final.
Divas now 70, Gravediggers at 41. That is the official final. The Divas will continue on. I believe if everything is all it was cracked up to be originally, they may actually be playing after the next bout, which will be the Bouches versus the Ladies of Pain. So it is about 7:30 now. I'm willing to wager that they're going to play somewhere around 8:20.
That sounds about right to me. Because they'll probably be about 10 or 15 minutes. I know they're trying to tighten up the schedule, so I would guess somewhere between 7:45, 7:50 for their next game. As we don't have word officially what time it's going to start, we're just giving you our best estimate at this point. But I know that we're trying to speed things up just so we can fit everything in before 11 o'clock.
Absolutely. Divas quite happy about that win.
I think that's about it for us, isn't it?
It sure is.
Excellent. I think it's time for another Mill Street moment.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this bout. Stay tuned. We will be back in about 10 minutes if everything goes as planned, and we will see some more derby action here at the Fresh and the Furious in Ted Reeve Arena, Toronto, Ontario. I am Monochrome.
I'm Ross Vegas.
And we will see you in about 10.